Hi, I'm Dave O'Neill, and this is the Blues Played Special. You've just been watching Albert Cummings at the Berlin Blues Fest, and we've caught up with Albert here at Black Eyed Sally's to learn a little bit more about what's going on in his life. As you know, Albert Cummings is on Blind Pig Records, and he got his introduction to blues by playing the banjo. So, Albert, how does a blues guy transition from banjo to guitar?
I went to a Stevie Ray Vaughan concert. And I think that was the end of the banjo. Yeah, that was the real turning point for me. I'd already started playing guitar, but once I saw Stevie, it was like, there's a challenge. I got to go for that.
So speaking of which, now as I recall, you've got what, Chris Shannon on your new disc, and you've played with Double Trouble in the past?
Yeah, well, the album previous to the one I got with Blind Pig right now is called From the Heart, and that was with Chris Layton, Tommy Shannon, and Reese Wynans. It was the whole Double Trouble, and it's the first time since Stevie Ray that they had been together with one artist. So it was really cool, and it was also the first album that the Double Trouble had ever solely produced.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you hook up with them?
Dream come true, I guess. I play a lot up in Albany, New York, and RPI College was having a blues day, and they wanted to have me be the local act, and they wanted to have a national headliner, and they asked me, who do you think we should get for a national headliner? And I jokingly said, why don't you have Double Trouble come play with me? And they said, that's a great idea, and I had to send out a demo, and like 2 weeks later, I got a yes, and I was floored. I just couldn't believe that was even going to happen. And what was really cool is I played in the RPI Fieldhouse, which is like a 7,000 seat, hockey rink or whatever, and it's the last place I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan Double Trouble. So next time I went back in that building, I was with Double Trouble. It was really, really neat experience. Yeah.
So speaking of which, now they're on your latest release, True to Yourself?
Well, Tommy Shannon is, and this last album I got with Blind Pig just came out. I don't know what your timing is on your video, but Tommy, I wasn't going to have Double Trouble at all, and Tommy Shannon and I had become really good friends. And when he heard I was going to do an album, he called me. He says, "If I'm not going to be your bass player, I'm going to have to come up and kick your butt." So I had my bass player from there. It was that's where the album started out with. But yeah.
And Jim Gaines produced it?
Jim Gaines produced it, right? Which is another dream come true for me, because Jim Gaines is just one of my idols as far as studio work, and he's such a nice guy, and he just really made the album come together.
So how did it all come about? How long did it take you to put together?
Well, it was about a 2-week process for the whole recording. Then you go through everything else it takes to get a CD up. But it's been about 7 months since it started, actually. Yeah.
Which recording studio?
We first went to Austin, Texas, and we worked in a studio called Wire Recording, and then I ended up with Jim in Memphis because he felt more comfortable at Ardent Studios.
Okay.
So that was a real treat too. I mean, Vaughn Brothers have recorded there, ZZ Top, everybody. It's like
a lot of history to it.
Yeah, a lot of history. It was really, really one of those special moments to be there.
So what else do you have out for discs?
Well, my first demo was called The Long Way, which not a lot of people know about, but it did really well. It's kind of what hooked me up with Double Trouble, and then I have From the Heart, and now with Blind Pig, True to Yourself.
Hooked up with Blind Pig, that's a good catch right there too.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and they're really excited about the album, and it's been getting really, really good response, and it's been getting good response worldwide too. They're talking about tour in France and in Australia, and they're talking about all kinds of things. So I'm just floored with excitement.
A nice international tour. Now, I'm sure that it took you a while to get this one out. Are you starting to think about the next one already?
Yeah, I've already written a few songs for the new album, but it'll probably be a few months before we go back in the studio. So we're gonna have some fun with this one for a while.
So you mentioned you play the Fender Stratocaster.
Right.
You got a collection of them, or you just have one?
Yeah, I have quite a few of them, but it's funny, but I always play the same one. Yeah, I go in the store and fall in love with the guitar, take it home, play it for a couple nights, and then I go to a gig, I bring my regular guitar. It's just the way it is.
That's a common story now, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the guitar freaks out there, too, how do you string it?
I actually tune down a half step, and I have like a 12 down to a 54. So I have a odd. It's not like the regular, you know, order of strings. It kind of gets heavier as they go down. So yeah, it kind of beats up your fingers at the end of the night. But I like the tone from the deeper strings. And
So what do you run it through?
usually I run through a Fender Vibro King and a Fender Super Reverb. But I switch around. I like to have 2 amps. For some reason, one amp never sounds right, and I usually run them both at the same time. I have a box that just lets them both come on. I can shut one or the other off, but I just kind of put them both on. I think it's just the more speakers gives me a little fuller sound on stage. Yep.
Nice bigger sound. So speaking about going back out on the road now, so who do you usually bring with your when you're on tour?
Dan Broad is my bass player, and Connor Meehan is my drummer, which are here with me tonight. Yeah.
So what do you think? You mentioned Australia, Europe too?
Yeah, they're talking about everything. So everything's kind of in the talking stage right now, but that's where it all starts. So I'm excited.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I don't want to take up too much time here because it's taken away from your music, and we've got more coming up. So don't go anywhere. How cool was that? We've got some more cuts coming up here from Albert Cummings, and be true to himself and yourself.